No, you were. After I pulled up behind you, I never go. You were. You're going crazy. I don't have to. I had to go fast enough to go back behind you. Instead of. Of course.
I know.
Oh, yeah, that's considerable.
I was like, I don't need her. What are you looking? That's right.
Call the meeting to order. Don't mean that pledge allegiance. Roll call. Here.
Mrs. Stoner? Yes. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Mallon?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman? Yes. Mrs. Porter?
Yes. Knowledge of visitors. Everybody read the minutes? Looking for a motion to approve June 12th, both public hearing and council meeting minutes. Since everybody was here for both of them, we're gonna do them both at once.
You want individual?
No, we were here for both meetings, so I don't see, Jared, that sound like a problem.
No, I would say so.
I'll move to approve June 12th public hearing and June 12th council meeting minutes.
I'll second. Sorry, second by Mrs. Chapman. Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Porter?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mallon?
Yes.
Looking for a motion to approve the combined committee meetings on the 19th of June.
I'll second.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Abstain.
Mr. Mallon?
Yes.
Stoner?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Abstain.
Mrs. Porter? Mrs. Porter?
November the 19th.
Yes.
Right, and finally, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes for the June 26th public hearing and council meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoner?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mrs. Porter?
Abstain.
Mr. Mallon?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Department head report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for the opportunity to provide an update. First, I want to officially introduce our new Community Development Assistant, Caitlin Bowman. I know most of you have had the opportunity to meet her, but in this official capacity, want to introduce her and thank her for all of her hard work over the past few weeks. We threw her in head first, and she has done very well with that and has been an extreme help to me in the work that we're doing in the department. Also want to thank you for the opportunity to have an intern in my department this year. That has been extremely helpful. I am hoping that at the end of her time with us, she'll be able to come to you and share some of the exciting work that she's been working on over the past few weeks. She comes with a wealth of knowledge and previously interned with the city of Lancaster. So a lot of that work that she's done there has been really applicable to some of the work that we're doing here. As you know, you adopted our comprehensive plan recently, and we've been very forward about the fact that this is going to be an evolving document, that we're going to be evaluating this on a regular basis. And so you're going to see over the next couple weeks what I'm calling the rollout of our comp plan, not only on our website, social media, emails to stakeholders, not only involved in the village, but also outside of the village, partners such as ODOT and the county and those different entities. And really just making sure that we're sharing that as wide and far as we can and receiving as much feedback as possible. Kind of jumping my report here, we've also started working with Framework. We've worked with them for several years now, but they have offered some additional assistance for several communities, not just ours. And what the mayor had asked them to do for us is to really not only evaluate our comp plan and see where have we overplanned, what things should we be planning on more when we do this again, but also how does our comp plan either complement or contrast with the communities that surround us. So that doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to make changes just because it doesn't connect with the communities beside us, but it's going to allow us to have really productive dialogue with those communities and make sure we're on the same page or we're as transparent as possible with what we're anticipating over the next few years. I'm really excited to see what work comes from that, and we'll keep you updated. Communication, I hope that you've noticed there's been an uptick in communication as it relates to not only the newsletter, social media, doing more videos, just trying to make sure that we're getting out as much information as possible to our residents. The newsletter, there will be one that goes out in July. We have a lot of good information to go on this one. Right now, we're sending those out every other month, but I anticipate as we continue to grow and have more activity that we'll be able to put that out every month. If you ever have any suggestions or you're seeing things that you know has been helpful information for you to have, that you think the rest of the residents should have, please don't hesitate to forward that over and we'll include it in the newsletter. As well as community outreach and events. We have been doing a lot of events this summer, and it's been really exciting to get the community together in a proactive way and in a way that we can celebrate the village and celebrate the things that we have going on. So the village center events, they've been well attended for the most part, with the fact that we haven't had anything like that before. I'm hoping we're going to start attracting more and more as time continues. We do have our farmers market coming up on the 25th. I've received lots of positive feedback. And with that, not only Caitlin has done lots of work to make that happen, but also Angie Schumann, she's a resident on High Street, passion of hers, and she has really just been a great help in executing that event. So, but we need lots of people to show up so the vendors will want to come back next year. So I hope you will join us. Also, very exciting is we received a grant from the Licking County Foundation. They saw our comprehensive plan and some of the work that we've been doing from a communication perspective, and they were impressed, came and sat with us, asked a few questions. We just thought they were interested. And then a couple days later, we got a call that they were giving us $5,000 for our community events and outreach. Extremely grateful for that. Deb has been, our CFO, she has been a huge help in getting our funds set up so that we can start utilizing that money. We're trying to be really proactive with that money in the sense, what are the things that we're trying to do next year that we can get ahead of as well. Now, code enforcement, we have about 39 open cases right now. My time that I had in between having someone in the position that Caitlin is in, I had a gap in there. We weren't out as much as I would like to be, but now you will definitely see an uptick there. We spent, I think it was about a week and a half ago, we were out from the start to the finish of the day. In the community, we will be out tomorrow. The great thing is we're starting to get stopped, and not always in the negative way, but people asking questions. Hey, Brittany, I know I received this letter. Can you walk through this with me and tell me what I need to fix? And they're prompting those conversations. So as much as I know we're being much more consistent than what we may have in the past, and that has upset some people, I think people are also realizing that if they communicate with us, and really just take the time to understand what we're asking, they're pretty happy with the results. Not everybody, but most people. I want to thank you for your assistance in getting the property off of High Street or really First Avenue cleaned up. I also thank the police department for their assistance in that as well. That so far has gone well and it's remained cleaned up, and we hope that it stays that way. We have 3 properties that do have to be mowed consistently in the village, and they will be, of course, sent invoices for that, and then we'll go through the proceedings if they don't pay. We are keeping track of that now, but 3 properties in comparison to what it could be. I'm pretty happy with that this summer. We continue to have our monthly stakeholder meetings. As you know, we've met with nonprofit, real estate, small business, we've met with agriculture, and now our youth sports leagues as well. We'll continue to meet with these stakeholders, and really the purpose is to open up the lines of communication. So our next one will be healthcare providers that are in the village, and really just making sure that they know how to reach out to us and that we know how to reach out to them when we have needs for our residents. Our business retention and expansion visits continue. We are working with MORPC. We're members of MORPC, and they will be starting work in August to help us with our design guidebook. This is going to be something that we need your input on as well. So we're going to include community, our council, as well as our staff, in providing feedback on what the design guidelines should look like when developers or really anyone comes in and they want to start a project in the village. This is what we've been talking about in the 10 months that I've been here, is our proactive approach to welcoming developers or development into the village. We're also looking into an overlay district and several other zoning amendments. One, I want to make sure is on your radar because I've received several calls about, so I'm assuming that you have received several calls, is the concerns about the cats on the west side of the community. So we are looking into our current ordinance and how we can amplify that so that we have more enforcement with the stray cats in the village and the issues that they're causing some property owners. We're also meeting with neighboring communities, just making sure that, again, lines of communication are open, but also what ideas do they have that's really working for their community, and what ideas do we have that we can share, working more collaboratively with others. And then I will briefly run down the stages in which these development projects are in right now, but if you have any detailed questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Of course, everyone knows about the Microsoft project. Again, thank you for securing the rezone, the annexation, as well as the development agreement to continue that project moving forward. Right now, the work you're going to see is we are doing technical review for the mass grading. They're hoping by fall or spring of next year to start moving dirt out at that property. We are also securing a right-of-way acquisitionist to help with not only the work that's going to happen to really just upgrade Canyon Road, but also with the potential expansion of Canal Road or extension. Did I hear a question?
When you say an extension, you mean from where it is now, terminates to, 40.
Correct.
Okay. I want to make sure that
It's
that
clarified.
was
That's
the
a good point.
area that
Yes.
was involved.
And then, of course, Canyon Road as it exists now, will have to be upgraded to collector street standards for their development. So we'll see that really transform in itself.
And that's an expenditure of the development.
Correct. Yes. Then we have the Pulte Group, which you saw at the last meeting. We are now, if the 3 reads go through, we will have preliminary plans approved, and now a lot of the work starts. So I've tried to be proactive with sharing our process flow chart with you to make sure that we're all on the same page about how these developments kind of work through the process. And so prelim is done. Now we're going to work towards final, and that's a several month, if not almost a year long process. National Church Residencies, we are actually having one of our last technical reviews with that project. So you will see that our planning and zoning board is going to see that come forward again very soon. Wood Spring Suites is the extended stay. They have already made it through final. We're working through on a few more things before I'm willing to release permits, but you're going to start seeing that moving forward. Ohio Valley Cabinets, we've already had a pre-construction meeting, working on, again, final few details, and they'll start construction very soon. And then we have Spires Development, or the Canal Crossing, which construction is moving right along. I did speak to them recently. Two things I think are important for you to note is, one, they are anticipating that by this fall, they'll have at least one of the units complete. They're making much more progress than I anticipated. Two, I've received an influx of calls into the office asking about information to rent. They actually said they've had people stop at the construction site to ask them that too. As soon as I have that information, I will make sure to share that out. The thing that's been, I think, really exciting from our perspective is the calls I'm receiving are from residents that live here currently that have family members that they want to move back. If it's either from college or someone from another community, they want them to come and live here close to them, and these apartments is going to allow that to happen. Cumberland Meadows, you might see the walls are actually starting to form already. They are not wasting any time and moving forward with their second phase of about 45 condos right across from Evans. And then MI Homes is just at the stage of reviewing preliminary plans and coming before council, but have made it through planning and zoning at this point. That concludes my update, but I am willing to answer any questions you may have.
One of the first things that you mentioned was this grant of $5,000.
Yes.
Is that discretionary, can be put anywhere? I was thinking about some of the financing of the Pie Festival.
So it's for
Can-
community
Can some of
events.
that be diverted to that?
Potentially, I don't know that answer, to be honest with you, when it comes to the finance aspect. I have to check with the foundation if they're comfortable with that. Because they're very specific about it.
They
being a
want
village
something
event.
more substantial and permanent. I can understand that, but my initial thoughts was to try to eliminate some of the expenditures the village would have and has committed to.
So that brings up a really good point. Two things I'll say is, one, they wanted to go towards community events, it's particularly the village's budget, which I could see there being a question there. Two, one question we had during our pie, or one conversation we had during the Pie Festival Committee is actually not providing a donation to a local nonprofit this year. Not because we don't want to do that, but it's really important to the committee to make sure that the Pie Festival is self-sustaining long-term.
Okay.
And so
makes
that
sense.
is the goal of the committee, to make sure that that can happen. And so we will have to hopefully ask for less and less money from the village, and they can sustain themselves financially. So we're working towards that.
Yeah, that's understandable. Thanks.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. We move on to visitor comments. To get the guy that, we get you to sign in.
Tom?
I don't want to comment.
Okay.
Well, I know, but I still need you to sign in.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah,
Do you want me to sign?
you got any visitor comments?
Yeah. I have visitors comment unless my husband gets logged into the, he's.
Yeah.
How do you want to speak?
Yeah, you, Go ahead.
Yes, if I could. Todd Messenger, 951 West Main Street. I think Brittany may have explained a little bit about, I'm unfamiliar with what the readings are all about. Is there a way you can explain that? Like there's 3 readings of the Pulte issue tonight, or there's the first reading of 3. What can you explain how that works? What are the purpose of the readings, and is there a vote at the end of each reading, or is it just at the end of the 3rd reading?
Can you hear me, Todd?
Yes.
Okay,
3 readings are an opportunity for the public to, and for council, if they so choose, to talk about that specific ordinance. There is not a vote until the 3rd and final reading, unless council wishes to, for whatever the reason, waive their own rules and do a vote sooner. But that's typically not the case. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And then I guess my next question would be like let's say it goes through the 3 readings and they, at the end of the 3rd, what's the next step in the process?
At the 3rd reading, there is a vote to approve or deny the ordinance.
And so so if it's approved, what next? Is there another step in the, like what would be the next thing that happens? I mean, like
The ordinance
I'm sorry?
the ordinance would take effect 30 days after the final vote becomes law.
And okay, and what exactly does the ordinance, what are they voting on? Or what are the readings? What would the approved ordinance be? I guess what I'm getting at, does that mean it's all said and done and they can start building if it's approved after the 3rd reading?
No, it is an ordinance to rezone a parcel. That is not an ordinance to build on a specific or lot. It is the sole purpose is to rezone the parcel.
Okay, and to rezone it to a PRD from an R2, right?
Are you referring to the Pulte ordinance?
Yes.
Yes, yeah,
Yes, that is correct.
okay, all right. Well, thanks for that explanation. That helps out a bunch. My only other comment, and I know I took way too much time the last time, but I won't take that long this time. Is I guess what I would like council to understand, a builder, I dealt with residential builders for 35 years. I kind of know them somewhat. And I just want to make sure that we're not drinking the Kool-Aid that that a developer will tell you this is what people want. They want small lots. And I know I pounded this into the ground last time, but they want small lots. And that I want people to understand that that's what the builder wants. They're a big part of their motivation is they are having to pay a lot more money for land nowadays because of the Microsofts and the Intels, and the price of land is just skyrocketed. So land that they have normally been purchasing over the years is much more expensive. So to get a return on their investment, they've got to change something because they're paying more for the land. So, a couple options are you either go as you normally would, but you've got to increase your profits per house, or you put more houses per acre to make up for that higher cost of the land. So I just wanted to make that comment that this doesn't mean it's a good thing for the village. It's probably a good thing for the builder because he's getting that return on his investment in other ways, by putting more properties on an acre of land. I'm still a firm believer that, that little lots like that are not a good fit for this community. And I just think that, if somehow we get the opinion of a lot of other people in this village, and I know it's disappointing that not more people come to these meetings to listen to this, but I think their opinions might coincide with mine. I just wanted to throw that out there and just make sure we're not just drinking the Kool-Aid. We form our own opinions on what we think would fit in this village. So that I'll leave that at that. I know I've talked enough about lot sizes and things, but the last comment I'll make on this is I know we're making steps to get to the end zone. And we don't really, I mean, as of yesterday, we don't really have questions answered on what is required of a PRD or what the limitations of a PRD are. And I just wonder why we're still kind of kicking this can down the road when we don't have those answers. And I know this is just to grant, to rezone it to a PRD, but if I'm in the builder's shoes and there's a chance that the regulations in the ordinance don't allow them to build on a 5,000 square foot lot, I would think they would want to kind of wait till the findings are found and before they invest much more into it. So I guess the question is, why is there a way, why are we like keep moving forward when we don't know those answers yet?
Are you referring to the MI Homes development?
No, well, any development in
Well,
it does not necessarily MI,
Well,
but
the
anything
MI
that
the MI Homes-
anything that's requesting a PRD.
Well, I think what Lisa Messenger on 51 West Main Street, I think what he's trying to say is that you guys you're doing a reading for Pulte for a PRD that we don't understand the requirements for yet,
Could
right?
you state your name and address?
Lisa Messenger, 951 West Main Street. So I guess it's hard to say, let's do these readings if we don't understand them. And the public gets to give their opinion on these readings. How can they give their opinion if we don't know what that definition of that part PRD is yet? So I think what we're trying to say is, why are we doing this reading? Why not pause? Let's find out what this PRD actually means before we tell these people, yep, we're gonna keep moving right down the road until, I mean, we don't know what the requirements are, right? As of yesterday, you still don't.
It's not about not knowing what the requirements are. We're clarifying a question that you guys had specifically about the MI development, and we're having dialogue about that and going to follow up.
Right,
with
This
that-
PRD is not for the MI development. This PRD is for an entirely different development.
Right,
And their
it's
lot
for-
sizes are different.
Yeah.
But their lot sizes on their presentation that they did last, or a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
whatever day it was, on their map, they have their lot sizes as 5,600 square feet. Now, according to the PRD, it's a residential too, correct?
They're,
That for MI Homes.
It's not, Pulte stated that theirs was also for,
that is their current zoning, not their designated zoning. And so we're working through those things still.
what do you mean by designated?
Designated and current.
And we can limit some of this, which this wasn't a public
This
meeting.
is not a debate. This is not,
Right,
yeah.
what we're trying to do is, like the reading, we're trying to get you to pause that reading till we find out what these PRD means. So we don't want you to, we're suggesting that help us understand why we're gonna do a reading for something that's not clear to the public or to the residential, or even to you guys, that the whole PRD, I mean, do you stick to those restrictions of you gotta be no more than 25% minimum of the square footage of an R2.
That's why we do 3 readings. So you can, each time we do it, so you can catch up with what we're doing. I mean, you want to do the research on it, that's fine, but we need to talk. If you want to talk out of here, we can do that, but this is our monthly council. We haven't got a public meeting like we had last 2 weeks ago.
So when you say that after the readings, it's not really for the public then to comment on it at that time, or what, how does those readings then work when you do a reading? Is that not what you said, that the public gets to hear those readings?
You have a time to present a visitor comment right now about anything about
Sure.
this meeting, yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about then for Pulte. How can that move forward as a reading to give them their
Because that's the
PRD?
function of our rules. We had a public hearing and we are now in the process of having our readings. Those readings do not halt. We are in the process of having 3 readings.
Okay, so the readings just keep going on whether.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
so,
you are welcome to voice your opinion.
okay,
Any of the 3,
what's that?
and any of the 3 meetings.
Okay,
So.
so once you voice your opinion, I mean, is it just an opinion and you guys just go on, or is it
It's
something?
documented, we document it.
And the council would take your comments under advisement as well?
Right, because we want to know what the residents have to say, so we are listening. Just because it's on here doesn't mean it's guaranteed. Yes, we do 3 readings. And if, you know, some of us might vote yes, some might
Okay.
vote no. Because we want to talk to residents, not just you, but other residents,
Right.
and 3
Okay.
readings lets us hear you, and we are listening.
Okay, so at each reading, then we can come and say, like, okay, again, and have this consideration or whatever, and you guys listen to that, and when the 3rd reading comes, before you take your votes, then you're taking all that into consideration, and when the vote happens or whatever, that's how that process works.
Yes.
Is that right? Yes, yes,
Yes.
okay, all right. Well, it's kind of hard because we don't know how these meetings work.
Right, right.
I mean, we don't know what all this means, and if there's a guideline to it somewhere, we sure like to read it. So, because it's kind of like we're watching a game that we don't know the rules. And I kind of feel that way when I'm watching soccer. Yeah, it's fun to watch, but I don't know anything about it. So it's kind of hard to figure out what you guys are doing and what our, I don't know, what we're allowed to do or not do. So that's why we were like, okay, maybe we should be taking a look at this before we keep passing this down till we find out exactly what that restrictions are and a PRD, what that means.
Okay.
And we know that, you know, our thing was within my homes and anyway. I think that's it then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And hold up one second. Can I get Mr. Wilkins? He's waiting patiently here. I mean, it's not that your opinion doesn't, but
Thank you very much. I'm Dane Wilkin. I live at 485 Linville Road in Heath, Ohio. And I'm a representative tonight of the Friendship Club of Lincoln County and also the Lincoln County Airport Authority. You might remember me. I've appeared here 3 times requesting my signs to be put up. One time for the World War II veterans. We had a big event out there, probably about 5,000 people at the airport. And 58 World War II veterans were still alive, and they came to our we honored them. And then we honored the Korean War veterans in 2019, probably about 8,000. It's kind of hard to judge people, but the big event we had in 2022 was the Vietnam event, where we had over 10,000 people there. And we had innumerable thank yous from veterans that were in Vietnam. We had the Huey there, and we had the Vietnam Wall there, and it was just heart rendering. We had a big sign, welcome home veterans, Vietnam veterans. And I just had so many, well, the organization had so many people thanking them for doing that. Terry Trenneth, who is chairman of the Lincoln County Airport Authority, asked the Friendship Club if we would do something similar to this, similar to what we did on the last 3 events. And only he wanted us to honor the brand new terminal we have out there at the airport. It's really nice. Something Lincoln County can really be proud of. You get a chance, drive up Heath Road and look at the new terminal. It is really nice. This will take place on Saturday, October the 24th at the Lincoln County Airport. All mayors of every city and village in Lincoln County are being invited. So your mayor will be invited, your county your administrator will be too. County commissioners will be there, and various county officials will be being invited to the ribbon cutting ceremony. As with the other events, we're bringing in, this time we're bringing in 5 historical military planes, like the B-25, the Avenger. I can't remember the others, but if you have kids or grandkids, it's really, they're big and they're noisy, and I think it's something they really would enjoy. It is all free in the parking. We're not charging anything for parking. The High National Guard is bringing in some of their big equipment. There will be several food trucks there. However, that is not free. Everything else is free, but if you buy something at food trucks, it's not free. The 338th Army Band will be there, and the Blue Steel Band from Granville High School will be there. They performed at the Vietnam. They're really good. Also, at 2 o'clock, Air Evac Light Team will do a mock crash. There will have the helicopter land to a car, and the one police department from, I think it's going to be Heath, and also the fire department will be there. Jim Matheny, who is famous for his car shows, will be bringing about 100 classic cars, and we'll be lining them up along with the runway. Historical films from the Lincoln County Historical Society will be shown in the new terminal. Breakfast will be served in the biggest hangar from 8:30 to 10:30 by Creative Catering. It's only going to be $6 cash. It's an $11.50 breakfast, but the airport is picking up the other $5.50. And However, we only ordered 300. When it's gone, you'll have to go to a food truck. Yeah, it's inside the biggest hangar. We're having booths, about 30 different booths, like the honor flight will be there explaining what they do for veterans. At the Vietnam, event, they collected, they asked for donations, but you don't have to donate, but you can see what they do. They collected the most they'd ever collected at any event that they'd ever gone to in Central Ohio here, so that was encouraging. People who have planes out the airport in many hangars have encouraged us to, we are encouraging them to showcase their planes out there. Plans for the ribbon cutting are gonna be done by a drone, at 11:30. Hopefully all will go well. The drone will swoop down and pick up the ribbon and officially open the airport terminal. Inside the terminal, we'll have displays of how the airport has evolved through the years. When it started, it's actually started on Mount Vernon Road, at the corner of Mount Vernon Road and Stair Road. I didn't know that till we started doing research on it. And some of the hangars that are out there at the airport were actually moved to the new, Heath Airport. What I'm asking the council to do again is to approve the Friendship Club placing up two banners in front of City Hall, back to back, perpendicular to State Route 40. And you allowed me last time to put up two banners in a V formation at the downtown gazebo. I don't know whether that would be permissible or not. You have a model there in front of you, I think, but here's what we'd be putting up. I think it's nice, turned out nice. We are putting up 30 of these around the county. We've probably got about 10 of them up already. That's a real job. So
Nice.
that is what I'm asking city council to do. Do you have any questions about this event? Anybody have any questions?
When, I attended the one that was in Vietnam, and I would say that was the most organized public, event that I've been to in a long time.
Thank you.
It was very, very
We had a
well
lot of good
organized.
inspiration. Lincoln County CERT, John Weaver, organized the parking. I think, all the cars we have out there were parked very well. I appreciate your compliment though.
It was exemplary.
Hopefully this will be equally as well, if not better. So,
It would have to go some to be better, but equal would be fine. I mean, it was just very well done. Wasn't anything that I needed or wanted that wasn't answered because I didn't have to ask, it was there. You know, and that's quite commendable when you're dealing with a lot of
the
people.
Vietnam War, that memorial came from Texas. It's 80% of the size of the Washington DC.
And I know people who had lost people in the war, and I didn't realize that. But they were friends of mine, I didn't realize that, and they were brought up to receive the awards.
Yeah.
It was amazing how that was done.
We honored, I think, it could be wrong in fact, there were 56 veterans from Lincoln County who died in Vietnam. And we were there when we prepared a flag for each of them.
Yes,
And then we posted them out there beside the tent. I thought that was very touching.
it was very touching, and I'm not a very organized person in some facets of my life, but when I go to a public event and it's that well done, there's a lot of planning that goes into it.
And I think this new airport terminal would be very beneficial for the Lincoln County.
It's a good gateway. I was in there on another one about 2 weeks ago,
Oh,
and
how they've expanded all that time.
yeah, it was nice.
Well, I think, appreciate that. Anybody else have any questions?
I'm good. Anybody? I'm looking for a motion to allow Mr. Wilkin with signs up,
Now, are you gonna allow me up the gazebo too, in the form of V?
yeah, both places, gazebo and out here if you need to.
Okay, and I'll put two back to back perpendicular to, Route 40.
I'll
Okay,
make the motion to approve the setting of signs.
I'll second.
Are there banners printed on both sides?
well, it'll be perpendicular,
Push back.
back to back.
Okay.
These will be back to back,
Yeah.
perpendicular, so you can see them driving east and driving west. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, could I pass out some flyers to, people that are here?
1 second.
Oh.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes,
Mr. Nauer.
Yeah.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner.
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
you could leave flyers out there on that table, correct?
I only have about 12. Minuteman Press called us and said they'd be available tomorrow, and I said, that's at the end of tonight. So I only have 12. We have more than 12 people here, okay?
We have.
But you've got copy. I really appreciate the clerk running off
All
copy.
of that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thanks for your cooperation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm sorry.
Your call was, somebody else.
Lexi,
No,
did you have a comment or?
no.
No, thank
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. I'll be very brief. I'm Tom Hart. My address is 5029 Cemetery Road, Hilliard. I'm here on behalf of Pulte Homes. Just briefly, I want to address a couple of points and we can prepare to address them further in our next hearing.
sure.
The question of lot sizes has come up throughout I believe we've had 5 hearings. We had hearings at planning commission and at council. That's come up, I think, every time. There's a code basis for the lot sizes and the development plan we've developed for this property. That code section for review is 1141.04. That code section allows planning zoning board to diverge the base PRD lot size standard when by 25% from the designated district we choose with our application when they think there's something better. You know, when they think they make a finding and make a recommendation to council that they think a site plan is better. In this case, you know, Pulte Homes is a very successful national builder because they understand what customers want. And yes, that leads to a profit. That's what keeps them in business. It makes them succeed. They wouldn't be around very long if they didn't understand that people today, most precious commodity is time in their lives and their families. They don't want to spend that time mowing large yards anymore. There's been a difference and a preference change in what people want. People would rather have common open space. In this case, this site plan is 48% open space. That allows recreation amenities. It allows the saving of natural areas and wooded areas. It allows very large buffers for the existing neighboring residents on the fringes of this new development so that you can have open space between new homes and existing homes. That's the open space also allows the collaboration we're having with the village to design a flood relief channel that we believe will help you know, some historic flooding issues in this part of the village. That's what having 48% open space provides. And, you know, this thing's like an amoeba. If you're gonna have large lots, you're gonna take those large lots right up to somebody else's property that exists. You're not gonna have the open space amenities. You're not gonna have the walking trails and the playgrounds and the things that we and the natural areas preserved. That we as a builder, we as Pulte know and understand that's what the market is asking for today. That is the reason for the lot sizes and the clustering and limiting of development areas. So you can have wider common open space that someone else mows, not you and your family. But I guess the main point is that's coming from your code. 114104. It's not something we made up or it's allowed and that's the basis for it. We will prepare at the next hearing or as staff tells us and designates to go back and make the you know the more formal presentation on that point that we've done before. But I just didn't want to leave, you know, the council believing, you know, there's not a code basis. The code on zoning in this village is the law. And we're following the law. And so I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I'm sorry I talked too long.
No.
The
that's
gentleman that talked before me,
fine.
what he had to say is way more important.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yes,
When you're saying that there is land that is not built on.
Yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned about trails and so on and so forth. Is that something that Pulte is also going to do?
Yes.
Okay, so when this final plan stages comes along, we'll be able to see what Pulte has in mind for the or the usage of the vacant land.
Yes, ma'am.
That,
Yes, we
that
can,
the village is not responsible for that, and that in your contract, that is clearly stated. Well, I don't know if it's even a contract or an agreement, we'll say, because I don't want to be left with having to fulfill the promise of the developer.
correct. The only slight variation of that, of what you said, is that with the flood relief channel, I think we have a very specific development agreement that we're working on, that we have not presented to council, staff has not presented to council yet. The flood relief channel would likely be maintained by the village, because it'd be a village, facility after it's built. We would turn it over, I believe that's the way we have it structured. Other than that, all the recreation area, all the natural area, the walking trails, that's all would be on the HOA to maintain, on the development itself to maintain, not the village. Over time, it'll be easier for us. We have presented our site plan, through this process. It was recommended by planning commission, planning zoning. We will have it up, probably be painful to try to find it in the ether now, but we have that turned in. It's part of our application. We can walk through and show you exactly, those parts that we're talking, but it's 48% of the site. Open space.
My question is originated from, the understanding between the village and the developer that the village would not be liable for the development of half your sales pitch.
That's right. I understand. That's accurate. The number one thing people want when they buy a new home in a new developed community are walking trails. The number one thing. So we have extensive walking trails to be built by the developer, to be maintained by the developer, and then the homeowner association. Not the village. Other people can probably walk on it, but it comes from with the development and maintained over time by the HOA.
Yeah, that's principally what I wanted to know at that point. So, thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything they would like to share?
I'd like to make a comment if I could. I'll respectfully agree to disagree with the gentleman. But when it comes to lot sizes, there's two ways to look at it. In his opinion, it's what people are asking for. But on the other side of it is, what does this village want? Just because it doesn't necessarily mean that's what this village wants. And my only other comment would be I understand the walking trails and I think walking trails are great. My question would be, is there any part of that land on that specific site that is not buildable? When I say not buildable, and is there any other reason why you couldn't build on that 50% land or 48% or whatever the percentage of open space was?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
I'm asking on that piece of property that that the gentleman's talking about, and he's talking about it has 48% or 40% open space.
Yeah.
Is there any part of that property that's cannot be utilized to build houses, for whether it's wetlands or, other things that would prevent them from putting houses in?
I'm sorry, we got to cut this visitor comments not into back and forth discussions.
Right.
I was gonna say, Todd, the questions you're asking are to the public body. If you have a question you'd like to direct specifically to Pulte, I would ask you to do that outside of the visitor comments to the public body.
We also have the plans accessible in our office.
Yes, then you can also come in and talk to either Brittany or Caitlin and probably get that information answered.
Okay, so this isn't the type of meeting that I should
It's
be
not
talking
back
about this
to
basically.
Private parties.
Not during the visitor comments.
Right.
Okay. Well, I apologize for that. I'm not trying to
You don't-
be
No, that's fine. That's fine.
difficult. I just I don't know.
Sure. Okay, so I need a motion. I can put the motion in. We'll put a motion in to go into executive session to conference with the attorney for a public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action pursuant in Ohio Revised Code 121.223.
You made that motion.
I make the motion.
Second.
That's at 6:48 PM. Mrs. Stoner,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Nauer,
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
This order.
Yes. You did that.
Motion to resume. Council meeting, come out of executive session.
You make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
25.
I'll second.
I have 7:23 now. Sorry. Okay. Mrs. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Porter,
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Okay, we got here, next, resolution 24-09, resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to place levy on the November ballot, November 5th, 2024 ballot, replacing the existing police levy in excess of 10 mil limitation. This is the third reading. For a motion to accept this ordinance.
I'll make the motion.
No. Sorry, you're fine. You get the next one.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter,
Yes.
Stoner.
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes. Ordinance 16-24, an ordinance amending the codified ordinance chapter 905 of the Village of Hebron Planning and Zoning Code. This is the third reading. For a motion to accept this ordinance.
I so move.
Second.
Who was the second?
Need a second?
Anyone second to this motion?
He was asking for a second.
Yeah, I'm asking for a second.
I'll make the second.
Sorry, I thought he did the second.
No,
What?
no, I would have known what I was gonna do on it, but.
Mrs. Stoner.
Yes.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes. Okay, have ordinance 23-24, an ordinance to create a part-time utility billing coordinator position and declaring this an emergency. I need a motion to declare this an emergency.
Does that have to be done in two phases? One to do the
Declare
suspension of the rules. I move that the rules be suspended.
Second.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to adopt.
Yeah, now I'm looking for a motion to accept ordinance 23-24.
I so move.
I'll second. Can we ask a question real quick? It says in order to create two part-time utility billing coordinating positions, does it say in the ordinance somewhere that if one was full-time, it would not be two part? I mean, it's only gonna be two part-times, not. Like, what if somebody said, I want full-time and somebody
Yeah.
quit, you can't have another part-time and full,
That-
replacing one full.
We only budget for one full-time right now. We're creating two more part-time positions. So the current full-time employee will step into that part-time. So we're hiring another part-time.
Okay,
But we're not going to recommend abolishing that full-time position just in case somewhere down the line in the future, one of them decides to become a full-time.
okay, so, but there's some in ordinance that we can't have both.
No, this one will have both.
No, but I mean, if one goes full-time, we're not gonna.
Oh, we
go
can- we
part-time.
won't have
It's
both.
one or the other, it's
That's
either
correct.
full-time or two part-time.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner.
Yes.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter,
I think I missed something. Who moved on this one for the approval?
you.
I just, I wrote to do
To adopt it.
to adopt.
as well.
Yes.
But that,
And I seconded.
I did it for the emergency point,
You did.
to suspend the
You
rules.
did not.
But suspending the rules is not the same.
You did both.
You did both. I did.
Yes.
I am just so efficient. In that case,
Yes. Oh, sorry.
okay, yes.
Sorry. Who did I miss? You, Mr. Wool,
Yes.
and Mrs. Chapman, did I?
Yes, I don't know.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna ask them
Go
now,
again.
just to make sure.
Yes.
Okay,
We can, yeah, we have, we can do that again.
You want us to do
That's
it
fine.
again?
Yeah.
okay, let's do it again.
Roll call.
Okay, Mrs. Stoner,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mr. Wool,
Yes.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the ordinance 2424, an ordinance to amend the village zoning and rezoning parcels known as the Canal Road, Hebron 43025, and more specifically identified as the auditor's parcel number 075-33076-00.000 and 075-330-786-00.001. This is the first reading. Thank God. Ordinance 2524, ordinance to amend the village zoning and map and rezoning parcels known as 820 West Main Street and 4104 North 9th Street, Hebron 43025. And more specifically, identify the auditor's parcel numbers 075-345162-00.000 and 075-345156-00.000 and 075-345288-00.000 and declaring an emergency. So I need a motion to declare this as an emergency.
This is good.
Yeah, because he's got a time delay on purchasing the property, I think it is.
So you're looking for a motion
So
to
looking for a
suspend?
motion to
I'll make
declare,
the motion.
I'll second.
And reading.
yeah,
Suspend the rules.
Actually, we've got Mr. Carpenter and Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
First and second. Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Wool.
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner.
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Now I'm looking for a motion to adopt ordinance 2524. I'm not reading all that again.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner.
Yes.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mr. Wool.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Okay. So action items, June 2024 bankers. Like reconciliate.
Reconciliation.
Right,
Mrs.
what she said. Everybody read that? Any questions? You already signed off on it, so. All right,
We need
mention,
a motion to acknowledge receipt and review.
pardon?
We need a motion to acknowledge receipt and review of that bankruptcy.
Oh, okay. I need a motion to accept the bank reconciliation.
So moved. I'll second.
Mr. Nauer.
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
Okay. Administrators report.
I got a couple of updates for you. The first one is well number 7 drilling. The contractor brought back in the generator and the and pump on Monday. So on Monday, they did the step test, meaning that they run the generator at the 500 gallon per minute, 750, 1,000, 1250. So it did not impact the drawdown on the well number 6. So it's good news. But next thing they had to do is they have to do the 72 hours test. So they would draw 8 hours straight in 3 different days. So we're hoping that by this Friday, the test will show us whether there's any impact or what quantity that we will get. So that is coming up this Friday. The second thing is the Canal Road. You will know that the road was excavated to extend the water line and sanitary line. And they have done that. Right now, we're anticipating that repaving work should be happening maybe in 2 weeks, because the backfill is getting settling. So by the time the next week, it should finalize the settling. So the contractor will start the paving on that street, at least the excavated portion. They also had poured the concrete on the Green Ohio Trail, since they cut the concrete in order to extend the water line. So they have done the concrete work already. And on the water reclamation plant, they had removed the 2 dewatering bags. I think the total weight was about 160 tons of the sludge. Yeah, so that was done last week. And we are going to have a pre-construction meeting with the paving contractor next week. So we will be looking at the East Enterprise Drive and also the Deacon Street for the repaving work. We're going to figure out how we're going to get information out to the residents when we paving the enterprise. Does that create some inconvenience for automobilists and also the delivery for those factories out there as well? Lastly is that you may see some activities at the 131 West Main Street. There was the water leak at that location. Unfortunately, we did not have the part because that was aluminum. So once we get the parts, we will have a contract to excavate it and plug up the leak this week. And that's all I have for you. Any other questions?
Enterprise is just gonna be paved down to High Street.
That is correct. Yeah, from 79 to the High Street.
You gotta do the berms a little better or where they're.
We'll address that. The other thing I forgot to mention that council member Stoner asked about the 8th and the Main Street, about the traffic signal. I asked the police department to look into that as far as the parking that blocking the pedestrian crossing the High Street. And then we're also looking at contacting the ODOT to see if we can put more signage out, letting the motorists know that there's crosswalks. They need to start slowing down. So that's we're doing that now. So any more, we'll let you know.
Be nice to have a flashing one like down by the other end of town.
We will have to budget that next year.
Any more questions? All right, Councilman's report. Start out, Ms. Stoner,
I do not have anything, thank you.
Mr. Carpenter. Nothing. Ms. Porter.
Yes, I was down on Canal Road, recently, and it occurs to me that the east side of Canal Road doesn't have much of a berm, unquote, either. Sort of not unlike Refugee, where we experienced a fatality. And if that's going to be looked at, I think Canal Road also needs to be, because there's not much clearance there. And then that drop down to the bottom of that ditch or whatever you want to call it is just as precipitous as the one out here. And I don't think we can repair one without giving attention to the other.
I understand. The one on Refuge Road is that we're working with the traffic engineering, maybe traffic engineering, and or maybe also the Microsoft to see if we can do something about that. On the Canal Road, probably that's something we can look at, working with the developer on that as well.
Because that's, if you went off there too, you would,
Oh,
It's been that way for,
yeah,
oh, sure, so it's the one on Refugee.
and if you go anywhere else, if you
Oh,
look,
I understand that.
when you burn, you only burn.
Yeah.
And that's all that was given to that, but I just think that we can't give all our attention to one when we have probably as much traffic on Canal as we do in Refugee.
understand.
Since the police levy did pass, I assume now we need to.
Legislature passed, not levy.
Oh, I'm jumping way ahead. Legislation passed. We need to set up probably a meeting with the committee to work on how we're gonna get the news out and whatnot. We can work on that. And, one question, and our officer left, Oliver, do we have anything on the books for sound in town? Some of the cars going down 40 are ear piercing. I'm like, wow, like a decibel limit or something on the books for that, because I know there's one that right before my alarm goes off, he goes to work every morning and it's like, wow, he needs an alarm. I just think some of them are so loud, there should be something we can do with them.
We could definitely talk to the police at the police committees,
Okay,
conversation on that as well.
awesome. Okay, that's all I have.
I have nothing either. I guess the mayor's report is nothing. I didn't know anything that she said to bring up, so visitors' comments, you have any,
Most everybody left.
anybody else?
We're good for now?
Yeah.
Review of expenses? Everybody's caught up on all that? Well, we see the meeting and event schedules. Like the next one's a meeting with the farmers market, like Brittany had said, and planning. Yeah, there was no zoning in July, so that was, next one's in August. Anybody got anything else?
I have a quick question, maybe. The motion for the, MI home, since it did not pass, will that come up to the zoning board? Will that be something on the next zoning commission or what? That is, what's up with that?
So council has 30 days to act on that. Most likely, you'll see it on the agenda at the last council meeting of the month, either to ask for you to consider it again, or if there needs to be an extension for anything that we're working through.
Okay,
So there will definitely be an update for you by the next meeting.
Okay, so they're making changes or not, or?
We're just working through some of the details like the fencing and things that were brought up, addressing some questions that have come from residents, and they'll be able to report out at that the upcoming council meeting.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question then. How does your deadline thing work then? What happens after 30 days if you guys don't make a decision? On anything that the council is not necessarily just zoning, but anything, is it 30 days or?
I can only speak to this process because every process has something different sometimes, but this particular process, they have 30 days to either vote or choose to extend the vote on this. So for instance, with Pulte, there was an extension necessary because there were questions to be answered and we were working through the development agreement. So there was extensions granted and then it came in front of them
So
again.
what happens if those extensions, if they ask for delay or extension and that time comes and goes and there isn't any new, I don't know, extension, or the council doesn't vote on anything?
There's no action taken. It's considered dead at that point, but they can go through and they could reapply if they wanted to.
So, So let's say, okay, so council says, okay, let's delay 30 days and we need to make a decision or not, and then whoever comes to you and says, hey, can I have a delay? And you say, okay, and you give them a date, whatever that amount of delay is, and that delay date comes and goes. Is that the same thing? Like, once that delay date expires and there's not a decision by that date, then that,
Unless another extension is granted.
before that date,
Correct.
then it's dead.
If council chooses to take action on the item and asks the village solicitor to draft a rezoning ordinance, it is our job to draft a rezoning ordinance. So if they choose to take action and have us draft a rezoning ordinance, which is what they did with Obey, we then draft our rezoning ordinance and then it's brought before council. That occurred.
I'm
after
just,
several-
I guess I'm just asking, what's the consequences, like, you know, when that deadline comes and goes, when nothing happens, and I think Brittany said that it's just dead, that's what it's considered dead.
And yeah, then, I mean, if council chooses to take action, though, we have to draft a rezoning. ordinance.
And if nothing happens, then it's dead unless they reapply.
Right.
So, okay.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second at 7:44 PM.
Mrs. Stoner,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Nauer,
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mrs. Porter.
Yes.
Thank you.